The wind howled through the sun-baked streets of Dry Creek, carrying the scent of dust, whiskey, and old sorrow. The town had once dreamed big, built on gold and rail promises, but those had dried up like the cracked creek bed that gave it its name. Now it was little more than a skeleton of itself: saloon, church, sheriff's office, and too many empty buildings whispering of better days. At the center of it all stood Elena Hartley, tall, proud, and fiercely tired. She wore her father's old leather coat, and her mother's locket tucked beneath her collar. Her eyes were storm gray, like the kind that roll in before a twister, and just as unpredictable. The day the town turned her into currency was the day she stopped pretending everything was fine. "Town debt's due, Hartley," said Mayor Sutter, a broad man with a silk vest that no longer fit his gut. "You and your father borrowed money from the town's reserve for that land expansion. Now he's dead. That makes you responsible." "I've been working it off," she snapped, fists clenched. "At the saloon, the mill, even the boarding house. I'm not some." He raised a hand. "It's not enough. You owe $1,200. The council voted last night. Either you're indentured until the debt's settled, or someone pays it." She spat near his boot. "What you mean is, I get sold off. Who's buying? Sutter?" The answer came when Jeb Carraway strode from the shadows of the sheriff's porch. An outlaw once turned lawman, now turned land baron. Everyone knew he had a special interest in Elena ever since her mother died. His grin showed too many teeth. "I'll cover the debt," Jeb drawled. "With the understanding Elena comes work my land, cook my meals, and keep house. We'll call it 6 months. Fair." "Fair like snakebite," Elena muttered. Sutter shrugged. "Or jail. Or worse." It wasn't a choice. Not really. That night, Elena packed her things, one threadbare dress, her father's pocket knife, and a worn Bible, and prepared to leave the only home she'd ever known. Chapter 2, A Cowboy with No Name. Miles outside town, the prairie opened up into a sea of gold and dust. That's where Colt Morgan rode, tall in the saddle, rifle strapped across his back and eyes sharp under the brim of a weathered hat. He wasn't headed anywhere in particular. Cowboys rarely were. But when his path crossed Dry Creek's outer edge and he heard a woman crying behind the blacksmith's barn, he dismounted. Elena sat there, arms wrapped around her knees, hiding her tears from the world. He didn't speak right away, just waited. When she finally looked up, red-eyed and feral, she reached for her knife. "I ain't here to hurt you," Colt said calmly. "Name's Colt. Rode in from Abilene." "Keep riding," she warned. He tilted his head. "You from town?" "Not anymore," she replied, bitterness dripping from her words. "They sold me to the highest bidder, for a debt I didn't ask for." That got his attention. "Who'd you get sold to?" "Jeb Carraway," she hissed. Colt's brow furrowed. "Knew him once. He was trouble even before he had money. Now he has me." He sat beside her, pulling an apple from his stool bag. "What if you didn't have to go?" She narrowed her eyes. "What are you suggesting, stranger?" He took a bite, chewed slowly. "I'm suggesting maybe there's another way to pay a debt, one that leaves you with your pride." Chapter 3, The Honor Deal. Colt rode into town the next morning like a storm front. He walked straight into the mayor's office and tossed down a thick envelope of cash. $1,200. The Hartley debt. Paid in full. Mayor Sutter blinked. "By whose authority?" "By mine," Colt said, leveling a gaze that could crack stone. "And before you open your mouth, consider this. I'm not here to cause trouble. But if you don't release Miss Hartley, I will become it." Sutter swallowed. Behind him, Jeb stepped out of the shadows, jaw tight. "You got a personal stake in this, Cowboy." "I've got a stake in honor," Colt replied. "Honor's worth less than dirt these days," Jeb muttered. You're wasting it on a stubborn girl who's already heartbroken. Colt looked him dead in the eye. Then maybe she needs someone who sees what's unbroken in her. Jeb's hand twitched near his belt, but he didn't draw. Not today. By sundown, Elena was free and stunned. You paid it? She asked, staring at the receipt Colt handed her. Didn't seem right, he replied. A woman shouldn't have to trade herself for a man's mistake. She frowned. You barely know me. He nodded. Figured I'd fix that, if you'll let me. Chapter 4, Ashes and Seeds. Elena didn't know what to make of Colt. He didn't ask for thanks. Didn't expect praise. He just started helping her fix up her father's old homestead, patching fences, planting corn, and making repairs with a quiet intensity that unnerved and intrigued her. They fell into rhythm, working, talking, learning. He told her about his brother who died in a mining collapse. She shared how her mother used to sing to the stars when times got hard. I thought kindness like yours died with the war, she said one night by the fire. Kindness isn't dead, he replied. It's just hiding. Still, peace doesn't last on the frontier. Jeb came back, drunk and angry. 2 weeks later, he kicked in the barn door, gun drawn. You think you can steal from me, hotly? You owe me your time. Colt stepped between them, slow and deliberate. She owes you nothing. Jeb fired. The shot grazed Colt's arm, dropping him to one knee. Elena didn't hesitate. She grabbed the pitchfork and rammed it into Jeb's side. He fell back, gasping, bleeding into the hay. Sheriff Macklin arrived minutes later, summoned by Elena's neighbor. Jeb's alive, he said grimly, but he'll be laid up for months. Sounds like self-defense. Elena looked at Colt, pale but still standing. It ain't over, she whispered. Not yet, Colt said, but it will be. Chapter 5, Forged in Fire. As Colt healed, Elena cared for him, her walls slowly crumbling. She found herself laughing again, cooking more than just hardtack and beans, and watching the horizon without that old ache in her chest. I'm not used to being safe, she confessed one evening. You're not safe because of me, Colt said softly. You're safe because you fight. I just gave you room to breathe. She took his hand. Then don't leave when I finally learn how. He didn't. That spring, they worked the land together, coaxing life from the soil, and when the rains came, they danced under them like children. The town watched from afar, stunned at Elena Hartley, once so bitter, once sold like livestock, now smiled like she'd found gold. Even Sutter softened, offering to wipe her name from the debtor's roll forever. But the final test came that summer, when Jeb returned, limping, humiliated, and looking for revenge. I want satisfaction, he growled, pointing at Colt. One duel. Winner stays. Loser leaves. You got the guts, cowboy. Colt looked at Elena. You don't have to do this, she said, voice trembling. I know, he said, but I choose to. They met at dawn. 2 men, 2 pistols, 1 heartbeat. The shots rang out together. But only Colt stood when the dust cleared. Jeb's bullet missed. Colt's did not. Chapter 6, A New Beginning. The town didn't weep for Jeb Carraway. Elena stood beside Colt at his grave, not in mourning, but in peace. He would have killed you, she whispered. But he didn't, Colt said. And now, it's finished. She nodded. So what now? We build, he said simply, a home, a future, together.